Welcome to the Fusionary Health Podcast. I have an incredible guest in store for you today, Dr. Donese Worden. Dr. Donese, welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta.
So, will you share with us your background? What led you to doing what you're doing now? I know you have done so much work in this space.
Well, first, I'm a physician. I'm a naturopathic medical doctor, and in Arizona, we're licensed to do everything a traditional doctor would, as in prescriptions, minor surgery. So, doing more integrative care. So, licensed in botanical medicines and nutraceuticals, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, but also licensed in the traditional medicines, which makes it a nice place for me to sit in the middle. And I've been in research for a while and designing and conducting clinical research for nutraceuticals and medical devices. And that's a fun area too, because that's where you kind of dig in and see what's working and what's not. And I love to speak. I'm a speaker and a global educator. And for 25 years, I did a lot of continuing medical education lectures for physicians in many different subjects. So that's the fun part. Now, I love the education piece, which is what you're doing, because we know that's how we can help more people.
Exactly. And I know that in recent years, you've been working with oncologists and with different groups of physicians to help their patients get more support. Will you share a little more about that piece?
I started out in pain management and injection therapies, regenerative injections, and did that for many, many years and taught it. And then continued to see a lot of patients that were coming in. As you know, almost 1 in 2 people now have cancer in their lifetime. And I kept saying, well, no, that's not my area. I'll stay in pain management. I'll do the things I'm doing. Finally, I'm like, no, I got to jump in. And it was by reading a book called Tripping Over the Truth by Travis Christofferson. And it was challenging the paradigm of what we've been studying and what we've been looking at as far as it comes to cancer. All the pharmaceuticals, the chemotherapies, immunotherapies are based on DNA. Well, less than 10% of cancers are genetic. What about the other 90%? So it's opened my eyes to question, why are we still studying that? Why are we still looking there? And there's a whole nother area called metabolic therapies. And the metabolic theory of cancer is, as you know, when you do a PET scan on a patient, if they have cancer, it lights up in those areas. Well, it's lighting up because of the voracious cancer loves sugar, and it lights up because of that sugar put in, called the Warburg effect. So groups like Dominic D'Agostino out of University of Southern Florida, he's funded by the Department of Defense and NASA. Dr. Tom Seyfried out of Boston College, they've written books, they're doing the papers, they've done all this research. And I jumped into that group almost 10 years ago, and now I have been consulting clients and patients all over the world. And I'm in literally almost every country, working either with their oncologist, or if their oncologists have said, we're done, we can't do anything else for you, or there's not a medication that makes sense, then we have things to talk to them about. But many of the therapies are really working in conjunction with and actually help the chemotherapy. It's called chemosensitivity and radiosensitivity. It helps them work better with less side effects, if that's what people are choosing. If they say, nope, I'm not, I always ask them, keep your mind open. We have different tests to look at now outside of the DNA to say which of those therapies are natural therapies or off-label therapies. They may be drugs, but which ones may work with their particular cancer. And we can look at that now. And there's specific tests that we can run.
Wow. I find this area of study interesting. Cancer isn't something that truly runs in my family. I have one aunt who had it, and it was an anomaly. And I was like, I don't get how one person had it, but it doesn't run in the family. So I don't focus on it as much. I focus so much on diabetes and all the other things, but truly
That's
these are all,
metabolic. Yeah.
these are all inflammatory metabolic diseases.
Right.
And cancer is just this thing like, how do I live the most preventive, non-toxic life so that doesn't happen? But unfortunately, from what I'm seeing, it's becoming so prevalent. So many people and families are affected by it. I always share I'm in my 40s, and now as my group and my friends and all of us are watching our parents age and trying to keep them healthy, it's tough because when they have health issues, who ends up managing it and trying to get in there? It's us. And it's tough. And also, I have a friend of mine, she's a health coach. She recently got diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I've been, supporting her. And it's interesting because in my world, I know doctors on both sides. I know a lot of MDs and DOs because in my supplement company, that's who I've called on and worked with for almost a decade. So I
Yeah.
know all these amazing humans. And then I also simultaneously know the exact other side, which is every integrative healthcare center that approaches it the other way. And it's always interesting because I'm not here to judge or decide for anyone which way they go. I always say, look, know everything and you trust your intuition and your knowledge and what you're being presented with and make your best decision. And usually it's a fusion that's the best answer.
And that's exactly where I sit and have. I've been that bridge between the two. And now we can look at which therapies and all therapies combined that might look good for the particular patient. Instead of saying within a database, here's your type of cancer, here's the first drug we go to, here's the second. No, we can look at particular cancer cells from that patient and test their cancer cells to see which therapies, all types of therapies are going to be the best, because unfortunately everybody's coming in with bags of supplements. They're doing all these therapies that they've read so-and-so's book or this or that, and it's throwing spaghetti on the wall, and they have no clue how they work together or if they counteract each other. They just don't. And another thing that you brought up, and I just want to bring to mind, is that 80% of known breast cancers have no family history. We've got to get that out of our head. I don't have any family history, therefore I'm not at risk. That's not true anymore.
Yeah.
If you think 1 in 2 men will have cancer in their lifetime, and 1 and almost 2.5 women will have some type of cancer in their in their lifetime. So that's kind of a new word, right? Breast time. Maybe we should think about that. But the point is that prevention, like you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's much easier than me getting them at a stage 4 cancer and it's metastasized all over their body and they're going, please help me. We can help with quality of life. We can help. And sometimes we have spontaneous remissions. We do, but we do not have that nailed down of exactly what that is. So anyone who tells you they can cure your cancer, you need to run the other way. Even traditional medicine, they do what they can and they say, look, it looks like we got it all. Well, they didn't get all the cells that were circulating. So you still have to be diligent and not wait for the reoccurrence.
Right. And have a preventive plan in place and all of that.
That's
Now,
right.
what do you say to people who are super healthy and then that's the news they get? Because my friend, it really bothers me because she teaches what I teach. She does what I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, was it stress then? Was it toxic burden? Like, was it the things we don't control, even if we do such a good job controlling all the factors? Like, I live an organic, healthy lifestyle. I source local. I try to control the toxic burden on our bodies and life and control everything. Is it inevitable if it's really 50%, or what can we be doing?
Not inevitable, but I will tell you that even if you do have a cancer at some point, the healthier you are, the better you're going to go through it and be able to fight it. But I think the word control that you were using may be part of it. You mentioned it. You said it. What I'm seeing is it's my very, very extremely healthy, do everything right people that are coming in saying, I don't understand. I'm the person who never got a cold. I want to hear that you got sick once a year, maybe a cold, a little something. You kicked it in 2 or 3 days. Your immune system kicked in. You had a fever, immune system did its job, and you're done. People who say, I never get sick are the ones I'm concerned about, because they're the ones that are showing up in my doorsteps going, I don't get it. I did everything right. Now, of course, there's people who do everything wrong and we're not surprised, right? But the people doing everything right, they're the ones that try to control everything, make everything perfect. So back to your point.
Like she's talking to me right now.
I didn't point the finger, but I wanted to bring out that word control. Is that when we relax, meditate, walk in nature, when we make sure we're spending time every morning and night, the 2 most important times, to check in, to feel ourselves, to know how our body's doing, instead of I'm doing everything right. I'm reading everything. I got it. I got the science. No, how does your body doing really from top to bottom? And I know you asked me to kind of run through the 7 pillars today. I think it's a good place to start, that you're really honest with this. How much stress do we have?
Yeah, and let's talk about control for just one more minute. I
Yep.
do agree that so many people who are who are into health, it's not, you don't even have to be in the health and wellness world. You can just be into your health for whatever reason. It might be your family history, it might be your own life experience. For me, I got into health because I had horrible health growing up, and I felt like I had no immune system, and I had to build it from the ground up just to be a functioning person in human society. When it comes to control, I do see sometimes how problematic it is. Because if you're always consuming content on health, which is what I do, my brain is like, oh, but you can't order the garlic from Costco. Maybe it's from China and then it's grown in sewage water. So you have to go figure out where to buy garlic, right? And then the food doesn't come into the house. Lately, I'm having so many worries about food sourcing. I won't source everything, and then I have to run out every day and buy groceries because it's funny how much stress you can cause around a topic that's meant to be healthy, and then that alone is unhealthy, and so you have to back out of it a few feet and say, okay, I'm just going to cook this menu and a few ingredients won't be perfect, and that's okay because I don't own my own farm and production of food yet, but it's one of my dreams, and I'm really working hard to source better. But is like the anxiety and stress and control around health also a problem nowadays?
Absolutely. I mean, we have the studies to show it. And I can tell you in my patients, working with thousands of patients across the world, those that are under stress, whether it's, your body, your adrenal glands that pump out cortisol, they don't know the difference between I'm trying to eat healthy and I want to source this, and this is a good thing, and a bear that's about to eat you. They don't know the difference. They know you're telling them survival. Kick into mode and make these stress hormones. And we know that feeds cancer. We know that there's a connection there. So, I tell people rotating your foods is just one thing. That way you're getting different nutrients, but you're also getting different pesticides and herbicides. Calm down, relax, do the best you can on sourcing. Don't freak out over it. Get the cleanest that you can, but then really understand that your immune system, it's far better. It's the best pharmacy in the world. There's nothing smarter with no side effects than your immune system. And you want to decrease your immune system, it's stress and worry. And I
True.
believe that's far more harmful, or can be for some people, than the foods that they're eating and the bad seed oils and all that. We could all, if you read, and you know this, you're researching it, if you read and you know what we all know, you wouldn't drink water, you wouldn't eat food, and you wouldn't breathe the air. So
I
it's
know.
like, get to the point. What do you enjoy? Eat as healthy as you can, and let go and believe in your own body, believe in your own pharmacy to do what it needs to do.
It's true. It's so true. I mean, the flip side of that stress is I know the body has its own intelligence and can
Yeah,
manage just fine if we allow it to. So
that's
yes.
right.
So will you share your 7 pillars of health that help people kind of
Sure.
framework all
Sure.
the work that you do?
Yeah, and it's really fun because we check in with our businesses, we check in with our families, like you were saying. The number one stressful job in the world is caretaker, by the way. So we're checking in with everybody else, and when's the last time you really, really checked in with yourself? So I'm going to ask everyone to either write down or get into their tablets and type this out. These 7 words. So let's start with these. First is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Next is body. Right. BM, just the word B, the letters BM, energy,
Mm-hmm.
mental, yeah,
Okay.
relationships, and spiritual. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask everybody to kind of rate themselves in a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being pretty bad, a 10 being I'm rocking this, I've got it. So let's start with sleep. Now, before you write down your number, I'm talking about how much sleep do you get? How much quality? Do you know? Are you getting REM sleep and deep sleep? Are you wearing a wearable, or you don't know? Are you waking up really, ready to go? So example of a 1 is you can't get to sleep. You lay there, you can't go to sleep, and you can't stay asleep. You're waking up during the night. A 10, you've slept about 8 hours. You're ready to go with restorative sleep, and you have energy all the way throughout your day. So scale of 1 to 10, write that number down. Number 2, body. I'm talking way beyond your weight, your, the stats, your BMI, which is not a good marker. I'm asking, are you happy with it? Number one would be you're weak, you're flabby. I mean, there are skinny, soft people. So if you don't like looking in the mirror and you feel weak and you feel like you're not strong, you're flabby, that would be a 1. A 10 is you're loving your body. It's working really well, no aches and pains, and you're really taking good care of it. That's a 10. Next one, BM. Yes, BM stands for bowel movement, and we need to talk about poop because you know how important the mind body is. You know how important the microbiome is, not just the gut. Now we've got skin microbiome. We've got these bugs all over us. So the bowel movement, though, is a great way to look at overall health because day one of Naturopathic Medical School, almost 30 years ago, was health begins in the gut. So let's talk about your poop. A normal bowel movement first would be from wrist to elbow, about that long for most people, and about as big around as your wrist in the middle section of a log. It should be a soft log, but formed into a log, medium brown color, doesn't really smell bad, and it's easily passed. So a 1 is stinky poo, short, little rabbit pellets, or just gooey diarrhea. That's a 1. A 10 is every day, you pretty much almost at the same time, you produce something that you wish you could actually show somebody because you look back at it and go, I didn't realize that could even be formed within this body. It's amazing because that length and that track of that GI. So that's a 10. And pretty much on schedule and all the things that we talked about.
Nice.
Next one is energy. Ready to go in the morning without coffee. I don't care if you drink coffee, that's great, but I want to know, are you okay without it? Do you have to have it? And are you crashing in the afternoon or at the end of the day? Do you have that 3 o'clock slump? There's an issue here, right? Is it sleep? Is it your food? All those things. But right now, rating your energy is you're waking up a 1, you wake up tired, you're tired all day, and then you can't get to sleep. That's called wired and tired. Common with menopausal, perimenopausal women, especially in women, wired and tired. 10, you get caught skinny dipping at 88 years old. That would be my dad. He's 90 now and he golfs 18 holes, 3 days a week. He's, he's going dancing most nights, and he's goes to the gym at least 4 times a week, lifting weights. He's got more energy than most people I know, and he's 90. At 80, he got caught skinny dipping. Long story, I won't get into it. He didn't mean to do it, but he got caught with the woman that he's with, and they took their swimsuit. They didn't bring their swimsuits. They forgot. They got caught at a resort. Of course, they were the rock stars. He was in the middle of the night. That's energy.
Yeah.
That's the way we're supposed to be. When people say, oh, I'm just getting older, I stop them right there and say, that is not allowed when you work with me. Age is not a barrier. You might want to take a nap once in a while, but besides that, it's okay. Yeah. All right. Next one is your mental state. How is your cognition? Are you thinking through things the way that you used to? How's your clarity? How's your focus? Can you focus for a while? And how's your memory? So a 1, you're really having trouble following me now. Now I know I talk fast, so maybe you can give yourself but but a 1 is really having real serious issues with any of those pieces. And a 10 is you're starting to remember. If I asked you right now to kind of give me quickly the highlights of what I just talked about, you'd be able to repeat most of it. You'd be able to repeat most of it. Okay. Next is relationships. Do you have a strong support system? Now, the blue zones, they went through the blue zones where people live over 100 in good health. And that's a piece here. You can live to 100 on a machine. That's not quality of life. But in good health blue zones, what do they have in common? They looked at, was it the food? Was it the exercise? Was it a little bit of food, better food, but not the same food? Not everybody was Mediterranean, right? Diet. So, but what they all had in common, they had a strong support system. Their community, their family, they felt supported within their system in that blue zone. So 1 is you don't have family, you don't have friends, you don't have colleagues at work. You just feel really alone. And I would say on relationships, I'm going to throw in intimacy here too. Are you able in being intimate with your partner? Have you lost that piece? Because that's an important part of something we don't talk about enough, sex in medicine. And we should, because it's about intimacy, and that's important. And 10, you rate yourself, you got a great tribe around you, lots of friends, everything's going great, lots of people you feel really supported, not superficial friends, good friends, and you're having great sex. You're having an intimate relationship with your body and or with a partner. And the last one, probably, and I will just say, in my opinion, the patients and clients that I work with cancer, those that have these radical remissions or spontaneous remissions, they've really gotten to the point where they're not afraid of death and they're not afraid of cancer. That's what they have in common. Again, not what treatment they chose, because they had to have the belief system in what they chose. Once I educate them in both sides, when they really understand all the options, then it's turn it over and have this kind of connection with something deeper outside of yourself. So having an ability to feel connected, have a deep sense of gratitude and serenity, however you get there, prayer, meditation, whatever it is, having that and actually connecting with that every day. That's an important part too. A 1 is no connection. You feel alone and you just wonder if it's all worth it. And a 10 is not talking about turning wine into water into wine, but the ability to feel a sense of peace and connectedness, no matter what challenges are going on in your life, because they're going to come. They're going to be there. No matter what it is, you have a practice, something that you can do that gets you there. Absolutely. So now if you look back, if you count them all up, if you're just to 0 to 15, you really need to be very serious. You've got to make some major changes. If you're 68 or higher, then keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right track. And we were talking about, how do you know? With the prevention world, there's a billion things you could read about that are supposed to be anti-aging and I'm always about what's really scientifically proven or not, but there's a lot of it. So how do you know? You ask your body, you check in with yourself, and no category should be under an 8. If it is, then you need to look into it. And I would suggest, finding 1 that's your lowest, and start looking at what are the things that could be done to get this section better.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that you went through the 7 pillars, because you're right. Each and every one of those matters. Sleep, gut health, our mental state, even our cognitive health. So important. Our relationships, our spiritual connection, bowel movements. I love that, BM. And it's interesting as you go through those, they're very much those check-in points that if we're not making with ourselves. And it's interesting because on here for sleep, I gave myself a 7, which is fascinating because I'm so obsessed with sleep. But I've traveled so much that I just traveled for 5 weeks, and I'm still trying to get my bearings with my body and my workout and everything. And I'm waking up at 4:30 sometimes, and I'm like, why? What? So I just need to put it's beautiful just to check in with yourself, because you're like, whoa, why am I a C?
That's right. Pay attention. That's
right. Let me go put my Aura ring on and fix that right up. You can do that.
Oh, you already know you're not. You already know you're not, even without your Aura ring, right? That would just tell you're getting deeper or REM sleep. But one thing, just because you travel, just a little hint that I give a lot of people, and it seems to work. If you use that, we all know about melatonin, but it's if you are going on a trip and you get on that plane and you say, what time is it getting dark where I'm going? Because darkness, that's when your body, your pituitary gland starts making your own melatonin, right? What time is it where I'm going? So it might be 8 a.m. here, but it's 12 p.m., 8 p.m. somewhere else. That's when you need to take the melatonin to start resetting those circadian rhythms, and do the same thing on the plane, on the way going and on the way back. That might help you not get off on those circadian rhythms quite so much. So it's worth thinking about trying. That one for a lot of people makes a big difference, especially those like yourself that are busy and going and big messages. That melatonin may be helpful, even if you don't normally need to take it.
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
circadian rhythm.
And also, so much of what you talked about is kind of tied into our mental health. I think if we're worried about things, if we're trying to adjust back to life and the pace of life, everything can impact sleep. So looking at that is so important.
That's true. And, that's why that morning and before you go to bed rituals are important. When you get up in the morning, if you can take 5 minutes before you get out of bed, do a meditation, do a prayer, a check in. How am I doing? Really check in with yourself and then let go and connect with something far greater than yourself outside of yourself to say, it's all good. I'm all in gratitude. That way, in the middle of the day when things are going nuts and crazy around you, you felt that feeling not too long ago, so you don't let yourself get too far away from it. And
True.
then at night before you go to sleep, again, a check-in. Don't check in with body because then you're like, why am I 7? And then you can't sleep, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But checking in with letting go and reviewing your day. What are the things that were good? What were you grateful for? You are already probably obsessing on the things that didn't go the way we wanted. Look at the things that you're grateful for, and then have that sleep hygiene music, ambient music that doesn't have tones and sounds, and well, not tones, but doesn't have melodies and all those different types of music that really help with that, just to get your brain and your heart to entrain into a slower pattern and they connect to one another, then you can get to sleep. So I'll give a shameless plug. My
Yeah.
husband, Barry Goldstein, does most of the music for Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he works with Dr. Daniel Amen and Dave Asprey and a lot of people, because his music, he's learned to be able to connect that brain and heart entrainment, works with Monroe Institute and others, but his music is quite the most profound. That's how we met. I was using it with my patients. It was the best insomnia thing that I found. And it was
Wow.
music, non-pharmaceuticals. So look into that. I'll send you some of his music. And so you can experiment with, but it's really good getting your brain and your heart to calm down, connect into the same rhythm, and then you can go to sleep because you're telling your body it's time to go to sleep instead of your brain going, what are the 100 billion things I need to do tomorrow?
Yeah. True.
Right.
What is his website?
BarryGoldstein.com. Just go to BarryGoldstein.com. He's on
YouTube.
all the playlists and YouTube and all that, iTunes and all that. He's all on that, Spotify. But his music specifically, he's got great ones for yoga and movement, but and meditation, big pieces for meditation. But the sleep ones are just really, really great.
Nice.
Really
I'm gonna look him up. I'm into sleep a lot. Like I'm into everything.
You should have him on your podcast. He does a lot of podcasts and he's great. He's fun. Lots of education for all of your listeners. It'd be great.
Cool. I mean, we know that sound therapy, vibrational therapy is so powerful and so healing. So it is something that I've been wanting to get into more, actually. Is like, how can I share more musical playlists with people? I think in my 6-week program, when I built it out, I made sure that I gave all the videos of what I was educating on, but I always gave music in each module to support the message that I was trying to teach.
You get it. So Barry's book, it's Sound and Vibration. He wrote a book with all the studies behind it and all. Of course, we have a lot more since then. But he's been talking about the musical playlist, but using it for an emotion. What emotion you're at? Do you need to relax? Do you want to sleep? What's that playlist around instead of these are my favorites? So it's great medicine and no side effects and the right dosage and all that. I think music is far underappreciated in medicine. And he's done a lot of CME lectures now on it because there's a lot of science behind it. And you already knew it. You're in your program. So
I did it in my program. And then also whenever I sit down to write my book or anything big that I have to do, I put on binaural beats for focus. Like I will play specific playlists just for focus.
That's
get me in the right time.
And Barry's worked with those binaural beats, but you don't have to do binaural with the headphones to do that, to get the creative flow going. But you're going to want to have him on the show. It's just fascinating and you'll love it.
Cool. Thank you. And then my next question is, since you've worked in oncology and it's an area that I truly have not explored much, I know that according to all the science I read and what I put into my dissertation, curcumin can be a great adjunct solution because it's going to help reduce inflammation. Is it applicable in all settings? No. But for certain people, curcumin can be supportive when they're going through chemotherapy. And it's interesting because I have multiple oncologists who do recommend it to their patients.
Mhm.
And when it comes to the work you do, you mentioned a test, and that test has the ability to show you not just which Western solutions, but also which integrative solutions would support you. Can you talk a
Turmeric's
little
on
more?
that list. Turmeric is on that list, and I see it show up a lot.
Really?
No, it's on the list in particular for that patient. Now, you've got to look at it different ways because we know turmeric is also anti-inflammatory. So if the patient has inflammatory markers that are high, even if it's not going to work directly on fighting the cancer cells, it's still going to get inflammation down, which helps the body. So most of the time, I would say it's a no-brainer to do that, right? You got to make sure, look at their liver and some other things. But 99% of the time, most cancer patients are going to have inflammation going. It'll be helpful. But that test shows turmeric is on there, and it would tell you what percentage of those cancer cells died. So let's say it killed 56% of the cancer, those cancer cells in that patient's blood.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. So it gives you the percentage. Now, if it's down in 10%, then you go, well, okay, it's not going to do that great a job directly killing cancer cells, but it's anti-inflammatory. There are other things on that list that don't have added benefits. So we don't put the money there, and we don't we don't add that to our list because more is not better.
Sure.
Specific is better. But to your point, turmeric is just a great one, in my opinion, all the way around.
Absolutely. And so what else do you see on that test? Like, what is it that you're seeing right now that most of us or many of us could apply to our lives as like a powerful
Yeah. I
preventive?
mean, it's different. Some people, green tea, which EEGC, you couldn't drink enough green tea. You have to take capsules to get high dose. Some of them, that's showing up really high. Some resveratrol, some vitamin C is not showing up as high as I would have thought it would have, because those of us that were doing vitamin C IVs, even 20 years ago, that's all we had.
Yeah.
Now we know we've got to be careful. There are some types of cancer cells that might actually be protected by that vitamin C. Now, at least with the test, I know whether vitamin C would be protective or not. But vitamin C, like to say you need to go get IVs, is not showing up as often as I thought it would. I need more data. I need more time to see it. But so far, I haven't been seeing. It'll be there, but it's not that high.
Okay.
Things that are high are like apigenin. These are flavonoids that are in plant-based things. Those are showing up pretty high on a lot of people. But if we had to guess, and they do, if you have to guess without doing the test, is the ones that I think that just a lot of people are just in general. Obviously, your turmeric, then you've got resveratrol. Melatonin actually shows up in a lot of people. Metformin, which is a drug, which does help stabilize blood sugar. And maybe that's one of the reasons why it's really helping, but it directly in a lot of people fights cancer cells. And we prescribe metformin for cancer. Not saying we can't say we're treating cancer, but we're saying, okay, it worked against your cancer cells, and we metabolically need to get your blood sugar under control because we use hyperbaric oxygen and ketogenic diet, repurposed drugs already. We've got a base of things that we prescribe that we say these are the best metabolic therapies, but all these others on that test, what else? Those are ones that I, in general, for most patients, even not having cancer and prevention, I like those three, especially the green tea, the EEGC. You got to be careful not to go too high. Obviously, dosage is important here,
Right.
but I do like resveratrol a lot, and of course the turmeric.
I have a question about ketogenic. So I believe completely that the ketogenic diet is beneficial for a lot of things, autoimmune, cancer. It makes total sense.
Mhm.
Starve the cancer, for sure. But when you're trying to go into ketosis, I'm vegetarian, so ketogenic diet is almost impossible. It's not fully impossible. It's very tough to do. Aren't we sometimes limiting our total nutrition so much that we're going to cause deficiencies? Like, for example, today in my Instagram live, I talked about oxidative stress. Well, antioxidants are in green tea, turmeric, and berries and fruits and vegetables. So how do you balance both worlds?
Ketogenic done correctly is absolutely nutrition. You got to make sure. So you got to look at how restrictive do we need to be, especially in cancer? We need them in therapeutic ketosis. That means deep ketosis. And when we throw them from there into hyperbaric oxygen, it works better. But we are counting macro and micronutrients to make sure. So if there is a deficiency because you're not getting enough vegetables, and by the way, everything that's in fruits are in vegetables as far as antioxidants without the sugar. Now in keto, usually most people can have a little handful of berries. We just have to see, does it throw them out of ketosis or not? But if you're doing it right, you're calculating it. It's a whole system to do it right. You've got to poke your finger. You got to calculate what we call GKI, and you have to do it. If you do it and you're in ketosis, you feel better. We do it for neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, patients that can't walk or talk. And the minute they're out of ketosis, they can't walk or talk. When they're back in, they can do it. We know, we're seeing it, and where the studies are being done, and then a lot of us working on it. So keto done right is great. I think people that don't have cancer, I think you should maybe a couple of times a year get into ketosis for a while, just to kind of starve out and stress out any cancer cells. That's what I recommend. And then some kind of fasting routine. Maybe it's a weekend, maybe it's water once in a while, maybe it's the therapeutic windows that you eat within a certain time period. Fasting makes sense. That throws you into ketosis for a little bit of time. But when we're working with cancer or neurological diseases, we calculate and we do it right, and we make sure. And your question was great, because a lot of people do it on their own, and all they're doing is stripping themselves of all the nutrients that their body needs and they're not doing it correctly. So
correct. And nowadays the relationship to food is so interesting. So many people are on Ozempic, Mounjaro, all those things. They just want to drop weight fast. And I just visited someone in Houston, and who I know, who's close to me, and I said, listen, think of it this way. You have a stomach. You're now going to eat a quarter of the food. Fine. I actually want you to get the result. If you're diabetic and you need a shift in the body and you're not winning, do what you got to do to get there. Because heart disease, metabolic disease, all these things are a factor that are also problematic. But if you're only filling 25% of the stomach 4 times a day, that 25% should be more deliberate. Don't eat garbage. Like, that's your entire nutrient density opportunity. Don't waste it. And this person was like, okay, got it.
And the semaglutide, we knew it was just, if you look at the mechanism of action, it was only a matter of time till we started seeing side effects. Now we know it's affecting vision. That even came out another bigger study today. So vision is being affected. So that means there's pathways being affected, and it decreases your brown fat. That's why whenever you stop, like any program, any drug, anything, the minute you stop, they gain the weight back plus more. And we know in specific, this is decreasing brown fat. Brown fat's the good stuff. That's the one we want for brain and everything else. So it's not a fix, but like you said, sometimes we need some weight off, but if they're not going to change their lifestyle while they're doing it, so when they're off, then it's just going to come back with a vengeance. And it's worse. Yo-yo dieting is worse. I tell patients, you're better off being a little obese and staying there, and glucose being a little high and staying there, than going high, low, high, low. That's the dangerous part.
Totally. And so when you talked about sugar, what is your message to people right now who say to me it all the time, I'm just, I'm a chocoholic. I just crave my sweets. I wish I could stop. I just can't. And I'm always like, listen, guys, first of all, learn to be addicted to salt over the sugar. That's what I did. I changed myself from a sweets person to a salt person and learn to love the salty stuff. But also look at your gut dysbiosis. I'm always having different conversations there. So what do you say to people? Because you're seeing it in the worst disease, one of the worst diseases possible.
Yeah, the scariest for sure for people.
Yeah.
I will tell you that there is no excuse at this point. There are dark, wonderful organic chocolates that are using allulose and monk fruit for their sweetener. You can cook, you can bake stuff, you can do things. And now you can buy things online that don't have the sugars in them, the high fructose corn syrup and the sugars. Corn syrup's the worst. So they don't have it. And allulose, by the way, that is from it's a plant source of sugar. Now in the studies, I know what's coming. They're going to publish it soon, just because I'm in the research world. I know allulose looks like it may be fighting cancer cells, and it's actually helping regulate blood sugar and everything else. So we used to say stevia is all we had. Everybody said, I don't like the way it tastes.
Yeah.
And then we got monk fruit, which is better, but it's very expensive. Now we have allulose, which is cheap, it's great, and it may have fantastic benefits. In fact, that's what it's looking like in the research so far. So I will say you don't have to give up your sweet tooth. The problem with not giving it up is that you're keeping your palate primed for wanting sweet. So you're going to want sweets all the time.
Right.
So if you do, then okay, but you do have choices now, and we can get around that sugar thing.
True.
But you keep, like you said, you switched from sweet to salty. You have to change the taste buds, and that's going to take a good 6 to 8 weeks before you stop craving it. You just like cigarettes or anything else, you just got to say, I'm in it. I'm going to do this.
Right. And you know what's interesting are the gummies that I created within my product line, because people were asking me for sleep solutions and different things. We started with the sleep gummy. Those are made with allulose.
See, perfect. Way ahead of your time.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's tough though, because gummies aren't as natural as like an open organic floral.
They're tough to do without sugar. I know, in the formulation.
Allulose is hard to work with. Like we're still working to make it the most stable, beautiful, non-gummy product in the bottle.
Yeah.
But we're using allulose and no gelatin, because I was like, I'm vegetarian. I can't use gelatin.
Right. Well, you were ahead of the curve because, like I said, those studies we already have a few, but some of the bigger studies are going to come out, and it's going to be there are people in the biohacking world, in the metabolic world, that are taking 2 tablespoons of allulose a day just to take it like a supplement.
Wow.
Not using it as a sweetener, to take it for the health benefits.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, speaking into the research, because I know you and I have spoken about research, and I own a nutraceutical company, and I'm very passionate about quality and potency. I put my entire name behind it. I love what I created. When it comes to supplements, I prefer supplements that are made in the US, where we have third-party testing, where we have so much control over the quality. Where have you seen the world of supplements go, and where are you excited for it to go even further, so that there's this trust amongst practitioners, there's trust amongst people about the quality, and where do you think people shouldn't buy their supplements because they're not as well tested and good?
Right. And
I'm trying to say it nicely. I'm like, where do you dump in the trash that doesn't help you?
Well, first, I'll give you my honest opinion. I think the majority of what's on the shelf out there is probably harmful. Not just not good, but could be harmful, because they're full of bacteria and yeast and heavy metals, lead, mercury, arsenic. They haven't been tested, and no one's regulating it for that. Now, the FTC and FDA they came up with a new category, a new part of theirs, an Office of Compliance. So they're going to start coming down a little harder on nutraceutical companies for testing and making their claims, instead of saying, oh, we've got this and it does this. They used to do it just by the ingredients. Now they're going to have to do it on their particular product. Now, that's about claims. But what I have taught always to my patients, and what I do, anything that's on, and I know yours will be the same, but we're one of a very few group, is that I've got a certificate of analysis on everything that I have available for my patients. That means every lot number. That means every batch that came out, they show me they did the testing. It has in it what it says it has in it, not some other ingredient that even kind of looks like it. It actually has the amount and what it says, because a lot of them don't. But it also tests for the bad things that shouldn't be there. And if there's plants in there, we should be asking for pesticide testing. So that takes a full-time person on my staff to do quality control. And I do it because it's not making me money. I lose money doing it. I'm doing it because I know the inside of the industry, and there are some bad players. You are a good player. You are one doing the research, wanting to do research, looking at your CFAs. You've got quality control going. So what I would say to anybody that's buying their stuff on Amazon, or call that company, ask for a certificate of analysis. If they won't give it to you, that tells you something. It's not too expensive to do. They should be doing it. And if they won't give it to you, I say you're better off taking nothing than a poor quality supplement, and more is not better. So I'm an advocate, have been for a very long time. I was shocked. When I was in naturopathic school, that's a big part of what we do is nutrition, food, IVs, and supplements. And when I started into the industry doing formulations, like I was part of the team that brought pea protein to the market. We were first on the shelf with resveratrol. I've been at this a long time. I was shocked. I didn't learn it in medical school. I learned it getting in the industry, how poor quality a lot of it is. So
Yeah.
people like you and your company are the only ones that people should be trusting and doing, because it's not good.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I mean, when I learned about the supplement industry, I thought, whoa, my problem is when I'm taking a vitamin D, I need them to be giving me what I paid for. I'm
That's
not
right.
playing around. I'm not taking a supplement for aesthetics here. I'm taking supplements because I've always needed to hold my immune system together. And I
Right.
know what nutrient deficiencies I cause through my diet. So
Sure.
and through my lifestyle. So if I
Yeah.
know of a deficiency, I know all the 18 reasons why they need to be addressed. So to
Yep.
me, it's infuriating that supplement companies can do that. So I ask all my practitioners all the time, I'm like, which D moved the needle? Which one did you see in the blood work worked? Because I don't trust just like that. And I don't trust lines necessarily that have 50 products. Like none of us do everything well. If we're
Yeah.
honest, we can be rock stars at a few select things. And so for me, the more I have learned about this industry in the last 8 or so years, I want more testing. Like I know we're doing heavy metal testing. I know we're doing microbial testing and all these others. I'm always like, what else can we know for sure we're doing well? And
Yeah.
why can't you go fly out and meet your suppliers, look them in the eye, inspect everything they're doing, build a relationship, shake their hands? That person is who's creating what I get to put in a pill to change the world. That's a
That's right.
big deal. So
That's a big.
they're my part, it's a marriage.
Yeah.
What they do impacts me directly. And so to me, I'm just so passionate about like, why can't we all make every single phytobotanical that we want to see in the world in a clean, pure way,
Right.
tested properly, so we can deliver the result that we're promising. We're promising a result. We're promising, hey, you're going to have less inflammation. This curcumin will do what it's supposed to do in your body.
Yeah.
But you have to, again, be safe about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You could go out, you can get wild crafted, organic. It's still full. There's still lead in the ground. There's still arsenic in the ground. And
True.
so everybody says, well, I got wild crafted organic. I said, if they're not doing the testing and extracting it, then you have to say, how did they extract it?
Yeah,
And
true.
there's chemicals to extract it as opposed to the good way to do it. So it's a whole thing. And that's why, we created the Prove It research company, was because we're really passionate about cleaning up the health and wellness industry. We want to be the JD Powers of the health and wellness. You get a stamp for Prove It. It means it went through a third party validation. Companies that are doing their own on the inside, that's the best they can do maybe, but that's still not really validated by a third party, unbiased party saying, hey, you are doing it right. And look how good this is.
Sure.
So that's why we did it. It was that I needed a whole nother business to start, but
I know.
somebody had to do it. And here we are.
Yeah, those of us who are so passionate, we're going to keep coming up with all the ways we want to impact our
Mhm.
community, our sector. I'm in the same boat. I'm trying to write a book, and I have clients in my 6-week program, and the supplement company's doing great things. And you're like, okay, I signed up for this. I have to remember I signed up for all the things at once. Well, do you have, Denise, any last messages that you'd like to share today around how we can continue to build our metabolic health? I know when we spoke in the pre-interview, you talked about how longevity medicine and what we're doing in the oncology, integrative oncology space are actually the same thing. And that such a big focus is mitochondrial health.
That's
And
right.
when you said that to me, it really landed. Like I've been walking around thinking, like, how do I support the mitochondria? They're the energy center. Like that's a big key piece of how we have good longevity and then equally prevention. So will you
That's right.
speak into that?
Yes. So, it is mitochondrial health. I do believe that is the basis of most of the damage to the mitochondria that's causing most of our chronic degenerative diseases. And that's why hyperbaric for everybody. Hyperbaric for everybody. I mean, there's units you can get for home. I use HBOT USA. They're a company that's FDA approved. They're not knockoffs from other countries that have problems. So if people can afford it, or just go get a series once in a while, talk about supporting your mitochondria. It also increases your stem cells by 8.5-fold. That's out of Harvard University. So if you want to get stem cell production, antioxidant oxidation, that whole phosphorylation, get your body jump started, detoxed and cleansed, hyperbaric is a great way to do it. Ketogenic diet once in a while, just because we want to cut down that carb and sugar. Everybody should be trying to cut that down now. We all know at this point, not great for us. We might need, some people may need fiber, but more, but you can get it in different forms.
True.
I guess the message is, for mitochondrial health, also one of the things that damages mitochondria is stress. So I'm back to
this look like, don't tell me that one.
I'm going to go there because you, along others, but you are so passionate about health and doing it right, and the research, and thank goodness that you are. We need you. Thank goodness you are. You're a light, shining beam of light here. But for your own health, for you, remembering that your body can't repair, it can't detox, if you're not sleeping and pooping and have relationships and all that 7 pillars, if you are deficient in those pillars, doesn't matter how great the quality of the supplement is or how good the food is. If you're not exercising and moving your body, if you're not doing those things, it's just a matter of time to the body, and the mitochondria takes a hit. And then what's it going to be for you? Sometimes there's a gene sitting there, but most of it is epigenetic. What's turning off the bad genes and turning on the good ones? That's all the things we're talking about. That's the 7 pillars. Turn on the good genes, turn off the bad ones. And I think one of the most important pieces is this: start your day and end your day in gratitude. And that way, in the middle of the day, in chaos, you can go. Another book, Breathe by James Nestor, a good friend of mine. Everybody should read that book. It's amazing what just good breath can do. But what does breathing do? It allows your body to go to the parasympathetic state where you can heal. Your body knows what to do. It knows how to heal. True. It knows how to protect, but it can't do it if it's running. You're telling it it's in survival mode and run from the bear. It's going to choose survival over repair and healing. It's that simple.
Such a beautiful way to end the podcast today. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. And I do think about it a lot as a health practitioner. I find that we're in this world where we get so passionate, and the passion overrides everything else. And I have my own functional medicine doctor who I go to, and I'm like, and she goes, you have to manage your stress too. You can't just self-care. I'm like, okay. She goes, I'm just here to remind you, as your colleague, you matter too. Not just the clients, not just the kids, not just everyone else on the planet. You too.
Yeah.
And
so Dr. Lupine, who studies stress, and she said one of the most stressful things that happens to a cancer patient when they find out they have cancer is reading a self-help book. Because now you're like, I shouldn't be stressing about stressing. Like, I shouldn't be worrying. So now you're stressing about stressing, right? So then it's like, turn it off, listen to some music, float, go walk in nature, make it easy.
Yeah.
I think that's the message, Totally. And checking in with yourself. I love the 7 pillars. Yeah. I check in with myself on the 7 pillars. How am I doing with that?
I've started these new things. Like, I used to walk every evening, but right now in Florida, it's pretty hot and pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
So I started walking on the treadmill an hour a night, and I started watching a show called Madam Secretary. And my son and I watch it together. So I walk for an hour, and then I take my shower, and then we cuddle and we watch another episode. Nice. And it's probably the only hour or two in my day that I'm not thinking. And it's so nice to just check out of life. And I always thought TV was a waste of time, so I never watched TV for years. And now that I'm doing it, I'm like, well, it seems if I don't go out for a massage or something, this is actually the only way I know right now to just turn off life and check out and relax.
Right. And that's a step, and it's a step in the right direction, but you've got to get where you don't need the TV.
True.
Because your brain is still going watching the TV. It's still going. We wanted it in slow, orderly rhythms. Get back to music. Get back to that music piece.
Yeah, and I'd love to try a hyperbaric chamber. I've never been.
They're fantastic. You'll feel good. You'll feel oxygenated. It's great. I mean, I've got a soft shell in my house. Nice. A lot of my patients do, they can afford to get them. You get the right one and do it. Talk about anti-aging. And, there's a group of us that I have a group that approached me to put in anti-aging clinics. And I said, first of all, it's not anti-aging, it's longevity. It's actually, then I said, no, it's actually mitochondrial. And so we're calling it mito clinics. I don't know if I'm going to have the time to be able to do it, but we will be focusing on the things, scientifically proven things that support the mitochondria. And it'll be a research center too, so that we're doing the research. So that's another big project coming up. But in the meantime, good food, good people, make sure you're pooping and sleeping, all the 7 pillars.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much, Denise.
You're
You're
welcome.
awesome.
You are amazing in the work that you're doing. Thank you.
And thank you.
You're helping so many people, and curcumin and turmeric, I can't wait for there's more and more studies on it, because it's amazing. And then you've got to say there's a lot of companies that have that, but they're not doing it right. And in some cases that can cause harm. That's why you and your company, you're trying to do it right. You're doing things right.
Yeah. And thank you for working with people when they're at their most scared. I know that it's a tough place. So I'm sending people to you because I'm like, you need help and you need guidance and you need an open-mindedness. But also I love that you're fusing the two worlds, because that's really a way to bring peace in this journey.
That's right. They don't need to have more conflict. And a lot of people, you're on this camp or this camp, and I'm going, neither camp has all the answers.
Sure.
Let's look at you as an individual and what you believe in, and take the stress as much as we can out of it to make those decisions. So,
exactly. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Where can people find you?
Dr. Worden, drworden.com is my website now that it has been updated. But I do have some social channels out there. I'm going to start trying to do a little more, but probably not much. But there's something there.
Okay, perfect. So if they want to find you, Dr. Worden, WORDEN.com.
That's it.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health Podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.